Donald Trump and MAGA are in a total meltdown right now after Vice President Kamala Harris selected the governor of Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz, to be her VP running mate. Donald Trump's campaign put out a statement that says the following: "It's no surprise that San Francisco liberal Kamala Harris wants West Coast wannabe Tim Walz as her running mate. Walz has spent his governorship trying to reshape Minnesota in the image of the Golden State, while Walz pretends to support Americans in the heartland when the cameras are off. He believes that rural America is mostly cows and rocks." That's kind of a weird statement to put out. Also, Trump's campaign put out the following statement as well. "While Kamala Harris and her campaign talk about being brat and doing weird things with coconuts." That's a very desperate Trump campaign, claiming Kamala Harris is talking about doing weird things with coconuts. It's a very weird press release for the Trump campaign to put out, but not surprising. As one account puts it, this election right now is essentially between America's fun aunt and America's fun dad, Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz, on the one hand, versus a convicted felon, Donald Trump, and your weird cousin, Shady Vance, on the other hand. Here is the front page of Drudge. It's Walz, and he doesn't wear eyeliner. Here is Governor Walz, and as our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski writes, "Tim Walz is coming for your guns." He's an avid hunter. Let me show you this. Here is how Kayleigh McEnany is talking about it on Fox. And here she's saying, "Look at all the radical things that Governor Walz did in Minnesota." Here, play this clip. Watch as MAGA is freaking out. Play this clip.
Well, facts still matter, so let's look back at his record. Walz's first executive order as governor was to create a diversity, equity, and inclusion council. He also supported open borders.
He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory.
And he pushed socialism.
Don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. Just do the damn work.
Ooh. Oh, wait, and there's more. He signed an executive order protecting gender-affirming care or surgeries for minors in his state. And in 2020, he was the governor of Minnesota during the George Floyd riots that burned part of Minneapolis to the ground. It was so bad that Walz himself called out his own response.
I got a call from a friend and a dedicated public servant. Senator Torres Ray called in her district, and it was on fire. And there weren't any police there. There weren't any firefighters. There was no social control, and her constituents were locked in their house wondering what they were going to do. That is an abject failure that cannot happen. If the issue is that the state should have moved faster, that is on me.
Well, you take a look at Governor Walz's record that the Trump campaign and MAGA are attacking. Here's what Governor Walz did in Minnesota: universal school meals, stronger labor protections, cannabis legalization, stronger LGBTQ plus protections, paid sick leave, 100% clean energy by 2030, focusing on protecting women's reproductive rights, $1 billion for housing, gun safety, and cut child poverty by 1/3 in the state. All good things that MAGA Republicans are attacking. Here's what Mark Cuban posted on the Governor Tim Walz choice as Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate. "I think people who don't like it may be missing the lesson of the switch to Harris. She went from the worst to first as people got to know her. It's not a reach to think the same thing will happen with Governor Walz. People are tired of the ideologues and hate from both parties. They want to vote for normal people that they can relate to. Walz can sit at the kitchen table and make you feel like you have known him forever. That's an incredible skill these days." On the other hand, you have Stephen Chung from the Trump campaign saying the following: "Under the Kamala Walz ticket, Ilhan Omar will be considered for a cabinet position like Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense." Seriously, that is all they got. Here is Shady Vance on a flight. He was recently asked earlier in the day about whether or not he's spoken with Governor Walz, and Take a look at this. Play this clip.
Yeah.
Have you or Governor Walz reached out to one another? I know when you were you're going to debate, you guys have reached out.
I actually, on the way to the flight in Cincinnati, I guess in northern Kentucky, I actually called Tim Walz. I left a voicemail. I didn't get him, but I just said, look, congratulations. Look forward to a robust conversation and enjoy the ride. And maybe he'll call me back. Maybe he won't. Yeah.
Here, Shady Vance was asked at a press conference if he has any common ground with Walz. Watch what he says. Play the clip.
And I'll take just a couple more here, and then we got to hit the road. Thank you all.
Senator, do you think you have any similarities with Walz? And you're both from the Midwest, and you work in the...
Can you start that again?
Yeah, do you think you have any similarities? And you can talk about like common ground that you share with Walz.
Well, look, I mean, yeah, we're white guys from the Midwest. I guess there are similarities there. But what's different is the actual ideas about how best to serve people, white.
And as the Mueller, she wrote account writes, so let me get this straight. Shady Vance had all the time to prepare what his response was going to be about Governor Walz, and the best that they have is this. Kind of weird. Here, play this clip of Shady Vance from earlier today.
So first of all, the reason I didn't say a whole lot about Tim Walz is because the Democrats have showed a willingness to pull a little switcheroo on us. So I don't even know if we're actually going to get Tim Walz out of this campaign. And I think that a lot of us are asking ourselves, well, it's not going to be official until the Democrats actually nominate him, I guess, at their convention next week. So that's the first reason. The second reason is, look, Tim Walz's record is a joke. He's been one of the most far left radicals in the entire United States government at any level. But I think that what Tim Walz's selection says is that Kamala Harris has bent the knee to the far left of her party, which is what she always does.
By the way, who's running the advance team for the Trump campaign? As one account puts it, the Vance campaign in Pennsylvania and his campaigning there right now, it looks like he's campaigning for Vice President Kamala Harris. Terrible advanced teamwork. It's like, it just says Kamala's name above him. Like, what were they even thinking there? Oh, Donald Trump just made a post. Donald Trump posted, "Thank you!" exclamation point with nothing else. He just wrote, "Thank you." AOC writes, Vice President Kamala Harris made an excellent decision in Governor Walz as her running mate. Together, they will govern effectively, inclusively, and boldly for the American people. They won't back down under tight odds, either from healthcare or school lunch. Let's do this. And on the other hand, you have Joe Manchin, senator from West Virginia, agreeing with AOC. So whenever you get AOC and Senator Manchin to agree on something, it probably tells you that Governor Walz is able to unite people. Here's what Joe Manchin says. Today, U.S. Senator Joe Manchin released the following statement on Vice President Kamala Harris choosing Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. Quote, "My friend Governor Tim Walz will bring back normality to the most chaotic political environment that most of us have ever seen. All of the candidates were strong, and any of them would have been a great pick, but I can think of no one better than Governor Walz to help bring our country closer together and bring balance back to the Democratic Party. Governor Walz is the real deal. I look forward to continuing to work with him to bring normalcy back to Washington." When AOC was shown the fact that AOC and Joe Manchin out with enthusiastic praise of Tim Walz as the VP pick for Kamala Harris, AOC writes, "I must be Democrats in disconcerting levels of array." Good stuff right there. Here's the statement also from President Biden. President Biden writes, "The first major decision a party nominee makes is their choice for vice president. And Kamala Harris has made a great decision in choosing Governor Tim Walz to be her running mate. I've known Tim Walz for nearly 2 decades, first during his time in Congress and as governor. A husband and father, he's been a school teacher and high school football coach. He served 24 years in the Army National Guard and became the highest ranking enlisted soldier to ever serve in Congress. As governor, he's been a strong, principled, and effective leader. The Harris-Walz ticket will be a powerful voice for working people and America's great middle class. They will be the strongest defenders of our personal freedoms and our democracy, and they will ensure that America continues to lead the world and play its role as the indispensable nation. It's time for all Democrats and indeed all Americans committed to freedom, democracy, and American leadership in the world to rally behind the Harris-Walz ticket. Every generation of Americans faces a moment where they are asked to defend American democracy. That moment is now. Here's what Anthony Scaramucci has to say. I'm still getting up to speed on VP nominee Governor Tim Walz, but the more I read and listen, the more there is to like. Walz served the country proudly in the National Guard, was a beloved educator and football coach. Under his leadership, Minnesota is ranked the sixth best state in the nation for business. Minnesota is home to 17 Fortune 500 companies, including Target, General Mills, 3M, United Health. For a deeper dive, I would recommend his podcast appearances, and it talks about a few of his podcast appearances. Also, you have Barack Obama out with a statement. Former President Obama says, by selecting Tim Walz to be her vice president from a pool of outstanding Democrats, Kamala Harris has chosen an ideal partner and made it clear exactly what she stands for. Governor Walz doesn't just have the experience to be vice president, he has the values and the integrity to make us proud. As governor, Tim helped families and businesses recover from the pandemic, established paid family leave, guaranteed the right to an abortion, and put common sense gun safety measures in place to keep communities safe. But Tim's signature is his ability to talk like a human being and treat everyone with decency and respect. Not all that surprising considering the fact that he served in the National Guard for 24 years and worked as a high school social studies teacher and football coach before being elected to Congress. So those are the statements there. You saw the outset what Maga was saying. Let me just show you what Donald Trump's been doing over the past 24 to 48 hours as well. You may have seen my coverage on this before, but let's play it. Donald Trump doing an interview earlier in the day to try to rebut the fact that lots of people have been calling him weird. So he did an interview with this guy, Aiden Ross. You see Donald Trump there. For those who are on audio, you can't see it, but those watching, doing a weird dance. This guy, Aiden Ross, is a right-wing streamer who got famous for sniffing the butts of people. He would sniff the butts of girls and people he considers alpha males in his own world, and he would sniff the seats, and the people would say, sniff it, Aiden, sniff it, Aiden.
Get a good whiff, not some little ass whiff, bro. Go.
Donald Trump said that Aiden is a very respected individual.
You really are respected. Amazing. I mean,
and that's how Donald Trump spent the day, with an actual butt sniffer.
The worst thing I've ever done with my sister is smell their underwear. That's it.
Just gets more and more insane, Ben, Jordy. What kind of Mad Libs is this episode? I don't.
There you have it, folks. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers together. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.